You can forgive all of them. Make them see they made a mistake. Make them understand.
I can't.
Stop reminding me.
Okay, so I'm back. And we have to talk about toxic fandom.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, toxic fandom. We have to talk about toxic fandoms. Tell us about the toxic
Who would know
fans.
better? We are the toxic brood.
Yeah, who didn't like your shit.
Yeah, sorry about that. I mean, well, it's not his shit, you know. But I'm gonna have to. I'm putting that in Godelb. We have to talk about toxic fandoms, and then message fill the screen with this. We'll probably make that one go. It's fatter than the screen is.
Yeah,
it'll be great.
Find a really, really chunky font.
It's like bursting.
Since Season 8 ended, the internet's been flooded with countless takes on the ending of Game of Thrones. From fans insisting they know the story better than the writers.
Oh, can you believe that? Talk about a fucking argument from authority, Jesus Christ. The writers know it better than anyone else.
It clearly, like, it's such a stupid thing to even talk about anyway. I don't know. Does he not think that there are certain rules with certain characters about certain things that certain people know better than others? I don't know.
And shit, what if the writers just forgot about?
Oh no.
Yeah, the guy who was like, oh, maybe Einstein's theory of relativity isn't as solid as we thought, is like, can you believe this guy thinks he knows physics better than Einstein?
The guy who wrote physics. Alright, let's keep going. Do this.
Okay.
It's clear that reactions are mixed. And while criticism is important, I think that if we want to be critical of media, we should also be critical of our own opinions. So, in light of some of the extreme reactions we've been seeing,
the worst finale.
No, Jeremy.
Jeremy, no.
Wait.
Episode in the history of television.
I'm gonna say we need.
It's quite. I think I agree. I don't know that there's a worst episode of television relative to the TV show it is in than Season 8, Episode 5. It's a disaster.
Is anybody hearing robots?
Oh my.
Yeah, we're robots. We're robots.
Singapore. All right.
Singapore
does not compute.
Singapore saves the day, as usual.
Hello.
We need to do some kind of
Just rename it
appreciation
that.
for Singapore sometime.
Yeah.
But for people in chat who have no idea what we're talking about when we say that, in Discord calls, you have regions that essentially host the call. And it'll always default to, like, wherever the most people are. So if it's, like, 2 Americans and a Brit, it'll be in America, and vice versa. Whenever we turn it to Singapore, it just fixes the problem. I don't know why. But, yeah. But we like it, so it's
Singapore
okay.
always comes through.
Singapore's a good man.
to take
So,
a step back.
thanks, Singapore.
Yeah, we like you,
Yeah, if
Singapore.
anybody, if any of y'all in
This
the
one's
chat
for
are
you.
Singapore,
This stream's for you, Singapore.
This stream is sponsored by
Absolutely.
Singapore.
This spring's sponsored by Singapore Space.
Singapore space.
The
Express
worst
Singapore.
finale episode in the history of television.
I'm gonna say we need to take a step back as a culture and take a look
As
at
a
ourselves.
culture. Jeez.
As a culture, I don't think we're gonna... That's difficult, but alright.
As a
So
culture.
this kind of reaction isn't really exclusive to Game of Thrones.
You look exactly
Fandom's
like I
actually-
think you should.
He looks a lot like Dale. He's like another Dale.
Yeah, it's
Ooh,
kind of
wee,
like
those
a little
eyebrows,
Dale-ish.
though.
He
Holy
looks kind
cow.
of like a Dan Aykroyd's cousin.
I can kind of see where you're getting Dan Aykroyd from. I can kind of see it. But Dan Aykroyd's much more fun than this person's probably going to be.
Oh yeah, and he has amazing Crystal Skull vodka. Very smooth. It's filtered with charcoal, right?
And
Charcoal
diamonds.
diamonds.
Charcoal.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's filtered with shit.
So this kind of reaction isn't
filtered
really
with shit.
exclusive to Game of Thrones. Fandoms actually have a history of toxic backlash when things don't go their way. It wasn't long.
Okay, instantly poisoning the well by
Yeah.
assuming people's intentions are that it didn't go the way that they wanted.
Why do people keep saying that? It's like, you notice how there's so many different ways we're happy for it to go, and it's always about these properties where they take the ultimate U-turn. Like, Luke is a coward. Jaime Lannister betrays all of his development. Daenerys kills innocent children. It's like, oh, you just didn't want that. And I'm always sitting there like,
You just didn't get what you wanted, man.
Why are you framing it this way? There are times where that'd be relevant. Stop picking the worst examples of it.
Long ago that pretty much every YouTube video was an angry rant about how Rian Johnson ruined Star Wars. More recently, we've seen some really extreme reactions to the trailers for the new Cats.
Can they even,
Have you seen the trailer for the Cats?
Could there be an extreme reaction?
Fucking bizarre.
I don't know that we can be extreme. It's terrifying.
I liked The Wall better than the Cats trailer.
The Cat. I wish we had done an EFAP mini for that, because like I was stunned. Like I was staring at the screen like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is horrifying.
It was a weird one, man.
It's made it into this really interesting middle ground where it's too weird for people and then too weird for furries too.
It's
like,
the furries.
How did you do that?
It's too weird for everyone.
It's just human enough to be approachable and just not furry enough to where I can't wank to it. So good job. You found the magical middle ground that nobody likes.
The repulsive middle ground that deserves to land in hell.
The repulsive middle ground.
Ruined Star Wars. More recently, we've seen some really extreme reactions to the trailers for the new Cats and the live-action Sonic the Hedgehog.
Just like...
Oh, have you seen these?
Come on! Like
the worst possible example.
Why is it that rational reactions are now considered extreme?
Like, what if, I know this is going to be crazy, but what if things could actually be shit?
Yeah.
Like, what if in this world we live in, there are actually shit things?
Do you think there'll ever be an inverse video of this where they're like, people are being too positive? Have you seen these trailers coming out and people are just saying, oh, I look forward to it, I love it, it looks fantastic, I'm so excited. Enough of this. Like, no. Don't you have a bad one? Just the feelings you don't like people having.
You're being toxic.
Let people feel. Hashtag let people feel.
Or way back in 1982, when it was leaked that Spock would die in The Wrath of Khan, Trekkies blamed Leonard Nimoy and even sent him death threats.
Yeah. There are weird people out there. I guess it means that if ever content that's considered very good, like The Wrath of Khan, is criticized just like season 8 of Game of Thrones, that means that none of it was bad, neither good.
Yeah, it's like, you know what else was criticized? This other thing.
Well, that's
so
the
your
thing, too.
criticism
Like,
doesn't count.
Spock dying, that wasn't really like a part of plot weirdness or anything, right? It was something that, you know.
Well, that's kind of what I'm trying to highlight.
Spock, right?
Is where the complaints would have been for different reasons, different contexts, different people. It's like, we should probably look into the details instead of drawing it out so far that everything's so broad that it all looks the same. Like, oh, someone criticized an apple, someone criticized Wrath of Khan. You know, what's wrong with an apple? What's wrong with Wrath of Khan? Nothing. They're both fine. Apples are good for you.
Yeah, it's
these anti-fruit sentiments.
Exactly. It's weird how he's trying to conflate like horrifying character designs to, you know, people being mad that they're killing a character that they love. But it's like, you know,
yeah, he's just grouping in like death threats and then actual criticism.
Yeah, so it's just like, see guys, it's all bad. Moving on. It's like, no, like roll that back, buddy.
The Sonic got a lot of death threats.
Yeah, kill Sonic. Like, I don't know where you live, Sonic, but I'm gonna fucking find you, and I'm not gonna catch you, but I'm gonna kill you.
People just wanted that creature to be put out of its misery. Did you see it? It looked horrible.
Trekkies blamed Leonard Nimoy and even sent him death threats. Just last year, The Last Jedi's Kelly Marie Tran.
Allegedly, that's what they did.
Yeah, this is the thing. Even me trying to highlight that this is not an argument that supports toxic fandom, it just supports that there'd be toxic individuals at best. It's not even, people don't even have proof for this. Like, and people are upset that I had even repeated the story without acknowledging that there was no proof. You just went off Instagram. Why does this get peddled everywhere?
It's just it's easy to go to.
What if somebody left? This would have happened, by the way. What if somebody left a platform because they got too much, like, appreciation or love? Like, too many people sending messages saying, like, you're amazing, I love you, where are you, can I meet you, I want signatures.
You mean like it went to their heads?
No, like, they're like, I can't stand this amount of bombardment, I need to leave. Like, even if it's positive. And what I'm getting at is that would there be a video being like, the toxic lovedom? You're like, stop it.
No, I think it's just the nature of support
Loved 'em.
is such that it wouldn't really happen.
I'm sure there's got to be somebody who's overloaded just by the stress of having that many people wanting to speak to you. Like,
Isn't that kind of what Keanu Reeves is going through?
probably. It must be hard to stay
Maybe.
humble as Keanu Reeves. Like,
Yeah, I got Keanu Reeves is a freaking angel.
we don't deserve him. But yeah, this whole story, I'm always, every time people bring it up, I'm like, so this is proof of what? What does this prove? What does it prove? Even if Kelly Marie Tran did leave Instagram because people were mean, what does that prove?
As Kelly Marie Tran was bullied off social media because fanboys didn't like the character.
And boys, women wouldn't have
And
been mean to her,
boys.
of course.
Yeah, women love the character. Women thought that Kelly Marie Tran accurately represented the kind of woman that they wanted to be, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Every young woman wants to grow up to be fucking Rose Tico.
They want to learn how to drive just like her.
Yeah.
Now look, I know we
The
all
quick
have a
minority,
opinion, and I realize negative opinions are not the same as bullying. But I do have to ask, how much of this is constructive? Do people understand?
Does it have to be constructive to
Yeah,
be
it doesn't have
criticism?
to be. What if they say they just fucking hate it?
And people usually say
That's
that
enough.
constructive criticism is almost like a subset of criticism. So, isn't it more important for the criticism to be valid rather than constructive? Not to say that we shouldn't value constructive criticism too, but the idea that you point out what is wrong and explain why it's wrong without suggesting how to fix it, is that so bad?
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you just identify something that's bad, even if you don't have a fix for it, you're like, yeah, this was shit that had happened because such and such reasons. Like that's still
Besides, he's
still
already highlighted that
criticism is
the people
useful.
who think they know better than the writers are already a bad thing, so you shouldn't really suggest fixes, of course, because that would be very presumptuous of you.
yeah to think that you're better than the writers.
You
Like I'll remember that next time you ever criticize anything ever made.
Yeah.
It wasn't made for you, Ranks. You just have to understand that.
Like, oh, so you whenever you criticize a show or criticize a shot or a camera angle or anything, we're just gonna say, oh, you're just presuming that you know more than the people who are professionals who do this for a living, who make movies.
I
It's
imagine
I can't believe that you did that.
the first mistake is just lumping it all together and treating it as one like person. If it's like representative, so like every one of the worst things that you would have seen as this person, and then being like that kind of criticism is bad, and it was just like which one are you talking about? Who? Where? It's really important to separate them out because they're not all the same.
And the thing they're criticizing? And are we maybe overreacting?
No.
What is the
think so,
correct
right?
reaction to have? Tell me.
Love and love only.
Yeah. Overreaction would be doing things like killing people, burning property, riots in the streets. Like, yeah, that would be overreacting. But it's a show, so going on the internet and saying that it's shit is pretty reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, I'd like
We're
to
allowed
just
to
have
do
a
that.
chart, you know? It's like, so I watched the episode and I go, that annoyed me. And he's like, he looks at me, he's like, okay. And then you do it again, I'm like, that fucking annoyed me. And he's like, what now? Whoa. That's just about acceptable. We can't go any further than that. And I'm like, why though? Like, well, because I don't like it. Like, okay. What if you're having a stupid reaction to my reaction? What about that? I don't. Oh, part one, one for overreacting.
You can fucking hate something. I think anybody can fucking hate anything. The only thing I could say that has like any validity is like maybe like a mob mentality where people don't actually believe this or don't actually have this feeling, and then they jump in there and say, "Well, yeah, I hate it too," just because everyone else hates it.
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be...
those are fucking idiots. But you can just hate something just outright. Like, yeah, I don't fucking like it.
I mean, that was the thing about Rags jumping on the, arguably, the hate train of Game of Thrones. I was just like, I'm gonna show you the episode, and he was just like, this is just fucking bad. Like, from a perspective of someone who's never even watched the show, he was just like, this, it was
I
episode
remember when
3.
episode 3 came out, and like, Rags, you need to understand my pain right now. I need you to share in my sorrow.
This is the thing, you didn't
Like,
need
look at this.
to see any other episodes to see how piss poor the tactics were. Because I watched it with Fortier and Wolf, and the first thing I said was like, why the fuck is the cavalry the front line? That's strange. Why Why the trebuchets, the second line, that's even stranger. It's like, you know, just concern, that's all. Just like, and then they all die, and you're like, okay. Because you don't want to judge until you've at least seen the episode, right?
Yeah.
Oh, pain. But yeah, obviously, if this guy was here with me, he'd be like, you're overreacting, stop it.
It's hard to talk about fandoms without generalizing people, because everyone responds to a story in their own way. Some people love
And
the
who are you to
ending,
say that
some
our
people-
way to respond is not valid?
I'm curious if he's going to address that. Like, I wonder if... I imagine it'll be like, liking's okay, loving's okay, disliking's okay, hating's okay, but... kind of weird line being drawn. This is the thing, we draw lines too. Like, calls to violence, for example, would be like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you hate the show enough
like
to try and hit people, obviously. It's like, whoa. But I doubt that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, and it sounds like he's generalizing too, like the whole fandom.
Yeah, it seems like he just pointed out the YouTube videos that were made on it.
Mm-hmm.
I always feel like that's what's fueled
whole
these. They hate all the YouTube videos being critical, and they try and pick the worst things of the worst people, try and represent the whole.
Oh
Talk
yeah,
about
I can
fandoms.
go out and find a YouTube comment that says anything.
Like, this guy said I should die. It's like, all right, give me and Rags a sec. We'll go find one for
Well, did
ourselves.
he give any references? Or?
without generalizing people, because everyone responds to a story in their own way. Some people loved the ending, some hated it, some hated the ideas, and others...
Did some people love it? I honestly, like, trying to be fair here, I didn't see anybody say that they loved the ending of Season 8.
Yes.
Mm-mm.
Yes,
I'm
as a
trying
matter
to think
of
of
fact.
people.
My stupid fucking asshole ex-roommate, who is a piece of shit and I hate him. But not because
Sounds
he
like a
liked...
great guy.
But not because he hated the last season, it's just because he's a bad person. Anyway.
I was going to say, to clarify, I don't think it's impossible or anything. It's just that I didn't really see any of that. I saw a shit ton of, like, loving for TLJ, but Season 8 Game of Thrones, not really. Like, the best I saw was, like, it was alright.
I saw people tolerated it.
Tolerate, yeah. It's like, I couldn't put up with this, I suppose.
Others hated the way they were executed. Obviously, not everything I say can apply to every single person. So in order to be objective, I'm going to be a nerd and start with some graphs.
To be objective.
Ooh.
Neat.
Uh-oh.
The
Graphs.
downfall of Game of Thrones. So this is just user ratings averaged out, I guess.
Whoa, what happened at season 5?
Oh man.
Let's have a look at which episode that is. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5. What happened?
Because that's
Unbowed,
deep.
unbent, unbroken.
Yeah.
Is this... I get a plot
What happens
summary.
there?
Get a... So... Winterfell... Oh, this is the one where Ramsay rapes Sansa.
Uh-oh.
That one got
Oh,
huge
Anthony doesn't do
controversy.
shit?
People went crazy over that. I remember that. Basically,
Now,
like,
was
people
that
didn't
because...
didn't want that to happen to Sansa, basically.
Okay. But it wasn't because, like, the writing just blew out of whack or anything, right?
I'd have to see what the arguments were. I can't remember if people were saying it was poor writing or if it was, like, I don't know if they'd say, like, disgusting writing. Like,
Mhm.
Was it
people-
more the rape scene in general, or because Theon didn't do shit because he was watching?
I'd have to check, honestly. I'd have to look at... Well, let's do it.
I mean, that's lower than the season 8 episode.
Yeah, that's why I'm
And I
kind of
would think
fascinated by this.
Yeah, and I would think if, like, the writing had completely, like, flown out the window in that episode, you would see other episodes immediately, like, follow suit. But it looks like this one was way the fuck down, and then everything just kind of went back up again.
Was this the one with the
Then
bad
stayed
pussy quote? Pat, do you know
Oh,
if this is
God.
the bad pussy quote?
I love that pussy.
That quote alone is, like, dips the episode itself in ratings.
All right. Seen a lot of people love it ratings. Let's go 1-star rating. So the first one complains about Sansa. Second one complains nothing's going anywhere. The show's going too far away from the book. Terrible. It's building nothing, getting worse. Kind of hard to understand for sure. I'd have to rewatch the episode, but yeah, I'd still find that pretty interesting that it's the lowest rated episode. Like, you'd think...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's see what he says about this anyway.
Looking at the data, there seems to be a distinct sense from the critical community that Game of Thrones fell apart in the last 3 or 4 episodes.
I mean, it fell apart a little earlier than that. It had its funeral in like season 7. Season 8 was sort of, I don't even know what you'd call it. What kind of metaphor? It's zombie corpse crawling out of the grave. Like stamp on its head. It's like, get
Zombie
back.
Corpse of Thrones was pretty much a letdown. Zombie
Now,
Corpse of Thrones.
Now, people were pretty happy about the first and second episode, right? Like, it was okay on season 8.
Sorry?
When it came to like the first and second episodes of season 8,
well,
people like.
this is the thing. The show was definitely damaged, but there was still plenty of characters left that people cared about. So it was like, we'll still watch it through to the end. And the White Walkers, that was finally coming to a head. So it was like, oh, cool. All this time, because they were introduced in literally the first scene of the entire show. It's like, oh, cool. And then they ruined everything.
Sam alive. Yep.
I like that the episode 3 rating is 73% because that's where everything went wrong. And it's like, people like, yay! Yay? And then the next episode, which is pretty, like, it's just stupid. A lot of stupid things happen. And people, like, I think that a lot of the souring for the 3rd episode bled into the 4th for sure, as well as the 4th being bad. But then the 5th one happened and it was all over.
I'm going to have to look at the audience scores of these, though, because I like, those are way more interesting.
Probably lower, I'd imagine. Or at least I'd hope.
Oh, absolutely.
Before that, the show was mostly a critical hit. But was this sudden drop in scores actually fair?
Oh no, he says it's not fair. It's not fair.
Season 8 was the worst season, for sure. So, I don't know, seems fair to me.
To depict organic...
Oh, let me draw it back a bit.
But was this sudden drop in scores actually fair? For me, the show had been struggling for years to depict organic character development and realistic politics. And to be frank, the books Game of Thrones is based on are way too dense and expansive to be accurately adapted to television.
I think
that's not people's problems necessarily. No one ever said they didn't adapt it because of a length issue.
Yeah, I feel like he's going down a path that's not relevant, really. It's just like, couldn't put everything in the book in the show, or the book is too vast or complicated for everything, and it's just like, that's not... You know what issues people have.
Saying.
Like, why are you going this way?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's all like people were...
some of them...
Yeah, people were having problems with things steering away from the books. If they were having such a problem with it adapting poorly, then they wouldn't have bitched about that.
Yeah.
The problems so many had with the ending are problems I've been seeing for a while now. And so I'd come to look at the show as kind of a preview for the books. While I understand people's frustration with certain sloppily handled twists, I'm also kind of just over it and prefer...
Good for you?
Okay.
What does this have to do with people? Also, I find it
how
interesting
is this
that
unfair?
it almost seemed like an excuse, like, hey, books are better, the show is kind of bad already, but it's fine. It's just like, no.
He's very much downplaying the negative aspects of it.
Yeah. If anything,
Like,
his
he's showing
argument
Daenerys
says you
on the
guys were
dragon.
right, but sooner.
Yes, there are plot holes after showing Daenerys about to kill millions of children.
How do you downplay that? You can't downplay that.
I'm kind of just over it and prefer to focus more on the core ideas.
Okay.
Like, what does the ending say about moral certitude and the glorification of war?
More moral certitude. I've ever heard that word before, certitude.
Moral
Yeah, I got nothing.
certitude?
One sec, I'm just looking into it. Absolute certainty or conviction. Alright. Neat. I've honestly never heard that before. I went over this in my video though, like the idea that no matter what team you're on, they're gonna commit evil acts. It's just like they handled it so rushedly in that 5th episode. And in ways that just are confusing. Like this army turn up, they've won, the enemy team surrender, you barely even got to fight. And then you're like, nah, fuck it, let's kill and rape them. You're like, what? Guys, you all nearly died recently to save the world. This is weird, okay? You need to do this in a way that's a lot more smooth than just, we're over-prepared, we're winning beyond a shadow of a doubt, and then suddenly, like, I could go for some raping, guys.
I love me some raping.
And then like
casual raping.
the one that
On the clock.
the one that kills it for me is the guy who tries to get past John in order to rape. Like, it's just like,
Yeah.
dude,
Pushes him away, attacks him. Gotta rape.
embarrassing. And so it's like, yeah, but what about the idea? And I'm like, I don't care about your idea. It's about how you
The
execute it.
idea of rape.
I mean, at least
What about
rapists
the
believe
rape
in something,
themes?
right? Yeah, seriously.
More on the core ideas. Like, what does the ending say about moral certitude and the glorification of war? Or about power, redemption?
How would it be glorification of war in that episode, considering it's like horrific?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't
Yeah.
think anybody was really talking.
I don't
about
think.
them.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's like, yeah, war's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever been that way. The show, even.
Yeah.
Like,
I've never heard anybody really make that
The
argument. They're like, "What happened to my characters?"
yeah, he's like, oh, yeah, I know there's plot holes, but listen to me, I need to talk about the themes. And you're like,
Glorification
Of
of war.
course.
Or about power, redemption, and choice. In the Backlash, these bigger discussions
No
aren't
one-
really being...
No one's even
Okay.
talking about them. People don't have an
Yeah.
issue with a lot of this shit.
well, you know what? I challenge him. Just explain to me why those things are so interesting. And you're going to use references about characters making certain decisions in certain places, and then I'm going to counter with how inconsistent it all is and how much it doesn't make sense, and so your theme is broken. Then what? Like, I wonder if he would just be like, okay, but you're missing the point. And I'd be like, no, you're missing the point. Like, the details maketh the big picture.
In the Backlash, these bigger discussions aren't really being had. Yet, the showrunners that fans are now calling Dumb and Dumber are
That's from Anomaly Inc., actually.
the same ones who've been writing the show since season 1, and had been
Yeah? What, so if you did
Okay.
something good, you can't do something bad? Do you think... Look at Ridley Scott. My go-to example pretty much every time. It's like, I'm sorry, the man made Alien and Prometheus. Well, Alien and Alien Covenant, I should probably just say.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean,
Okay.
you think you're better than you think you know more than the writers, Mahler? This is this is
got you there.
D&D.
Is Battle of the Bastards his only example here?
And that wasn't actually very good.
Well,
actually,
that's
when I
the
watched
thing,
it,
you
actually
know-
was kind of me.
I'll tell you what, people like Battle of the Bastards for the spectacle and the fact characters got to do what they should be doing. Right, like, you could have you could have had everybody do what they're supposed to do in the end of Season 8, or at least where everyone wants their characters to go, in an awful way, and they'd still love it. Like, let's just say you're like, oh, Ramsay's got to be killed by Jon, because of course that would happen then, and then you go, or Sansa, that could work too. And if you just have it so they spawned both of them on a field, they ran up to each other and just had a fist fight until Ramsay was a pile of blood, there would have been plenty of people who were like, man, that was awesome. There would be people like us being like, that was dumb as fuck, what the hell? What I'm trying to say is, like, Battle of the Bastard had a bunch of payoffs that people absolutely adored because they wanted to see it. Jon beat the shit out of him. He was fed to the dogs by Sansa. The North is retaken by the Starks. Like, these are things that
Rick
people want to see.
Onstead.
Everybody's least favorite. People don't even remember his name. But yeah, you know, the mechanics of the fight can absolutely be criticized heavily. But yeah, of course the fans were happy because those things fall away when the characters are maintain integrity. We didn't get anything in Season 8. All of it was in the bin.
dumber are the same ones who've been writing the show since season 1, and had been...
He should be saying adapting the show instead of writing it. Fairness. A lot of the great dialogue from the show is taken from the books. A lot of the way that it's structured is taken from the books, and a lot of people will say it started to fall apart the second they stopped using it as reference material. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of arguments to be made about their quality as writers, actually. Especially, didn't one of them write X-Men Origins Wolverine? Which is, like, despised, typically, especially by Deadpool fans.
Yes.
So, like, if we want to talk about track history, like, you know...
receiving critical acclaim well after they passed the books, as we saw with episodes like Battle of the Bastards and The Winds of Winter.
The good act does not wash out the bad,
Nor the bad the good, so this doesn't support your point.
nor a bad the good.
Though many repeat the mantra that the problem isn't what happened, it's how it was executed.
No, it's both.
Yeah.
It was a bad thing, bad ideas executed horribly. So you just, it's just this is why it's a contender for me for like the worst episode of TV I've ever seen. Like I don't think anything can be it. And it's so crazy. It's possibly the most expensive episode of TV too. I don't, that's probably not true from what I know about all TV, but it's probably up there.
Oh yeah.
It's just the biggest example of how money can't save you.
I don't think that sentiment captures the full story behind the Backlash. Okay. And that's not to say that everything was well executed, but to say that for several years, fans have been forgiving and even applauding sloppy writing because they liked what was happening.
Sloppy writing? Wait. What do you mean sloppy writing? Who are you to say that you know better than the writers do?
Yeah. This guy's clearly full of himself. But it's funny though, because these things... like the fans missed this stuff. People were complaining about a lot of the writing. Barristan Selmy in season 5 was awful, what they did with him. Blackfish, awful what they did with him. People despise what they did with Stannis and Sansa. Like he's treating it like there was never any controversies and confusions from the fan base. But once you take Daenerys, Tyrion, Dany, and Jon, they're like the 4 huge protagonists of the show. And then to a lesser degree, Cersei and a couple of others, and then the rest. And all of them got butchered in one episode. Like, of course people are going to be much more infuriated by that than having tertiary characters like Barristan get fucked up. Just natural. And I don't know why he's pretending like nobody had a problem with anything before season 8. It's like, that's not the case.
For example, the resolution of the Slavers Base storyline and the Battle of the Bastards aren't really set up much better than anything in season 8. Okay. They just have more popular outcomes. What changed in the last 3 episodes is that the outcomes got controversial.
Nonsensical.
They got controversial. Like the Red Wedding was controversial.
Yeah, he's gonna need to define his terms here, because that's controversial.
Controversial could be a lot of things.
Yeah.
For example, many believed that defeating the Night King was Jon's whole arc, and insist that Jon was wrong.
Why would they believe that?
Why would they believe that?
Why would they get that crazy idea into their head?
Even the writers believed it. There's that clip where he's like, "Yeah, it's too obvious to make Jon kill the Night King. We want to surprise people." And it's like, oh, too obvious.
Like fucking Spider-Man's gonna fight Mysterio, and then Batman comes in and kicks his ass and leaves.
It's too obvious for the ring to be dropped into Mount Doom. Instead, it's going to become a penis ring for many of the characters. This is unexpected for sure, and I think people will have trouble with it. But
makes their penis disappear.
Nothing else though, because
which happens often when Sam and Frodo are together.
And Gollum will be crowned the new Sauron. That is our vision, our goal.
Believed that defeating the Night King was Jon's whole arc, and insist that Jon was robbed of his destiny. But even before he encountered the White Walkers, Jon's conflict was always framed as love versus duty, the human heart in conflict with itself. His arc is about making difficult choices.
Well, then I guess he can't. That means he can't kill the Night King, I guess.
He's gonna pigeonhole him, and he's gonna be wrong. The idea of love versus duty. How do you explain like that can't possibly relate to? If we had gotten some kind of resolution where he killed the Night King...
Go away, I don't know you. Go away, stop.
If we had gotten some kind of resolution that involved him killing the Night King as a result of sacrificing somebody... For example, what they seem to be doing in the episode, if you remember, he goes past all of the people that he cares about in order to get to the Night King. I was like, oh, that would be the biggest payoff you can make for Jon Snow. He ignores all of the people he loves in order to do the right thing for the world. That's pretty great, you know, in terms of where he's been going. I'm just waiting for him to try to say, like, see, it couldn't work for Jon Snow, you know? Love versus duty. You know?
Yeah. He lets Sam die. He looks right at him and he's like, nah, I'm good.
What do you mean? He knew Sam would survive that. Sam's plot armor is enormous. He's like a tank. He's like the warmonger machine. He can literally cry and zombies will stop going for him because they'll feel guilty. How incredible is that?
He was just chilling in that Nightwalker orgy. He was all good to go.
Itself. His arc is about making difficult choices, not accomplishing great feats.
What?
What? It's not about accomplishing great feats.
He fucking took Winterfell back. He took the wildlings over the wall. He protected Castle Black from a wildling attack. He took charge of it. He became the Night's Watch. How can you say this? You're a bad man. You haven't been watching the show. He just makes hard choices. He doesn't really do anything other than that. Like, no.
Sometimes with a
His
sword.
arc is about making difficult choices, not accomplishing great feats. And in that, Jon is still a chosen hero. It's just that his heroism isn't supposed to be cool or honorable or even triumphant.
The point is that doing the right thing isn't always totally awesome.
What? Are you kidding? Stabbing that bitch was awesome.
I was gonna say she's a child genocidist. I think it's alright that he stabbed her, to be honest.
Yeah, and it was awesome.
He unironically said, "We decide what's good." It's like, okay. I just...
sorry, McQueen.
And
Lightning McQueen.
Wait, let me throw him back. So actually, I should probably do some kind of Goodell quote there.
The point is that doing the right thing isn't always totally awesome.
All right, there you go. The right thing is totally awesome. Did you guys know that?
Doing the right thing is totally awesome because Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because, like, that line could probably be in a good video. I'm just going to put it at a random point of Goodell. And people will know it's a reference to this video. But, like, he's saying it as if it makes sense now that Jon doesn't fight the Night. Why would it have been totally awesome for him to let a bunch of his friends die to kill the Night King? Why would that be something that he would just immediately go like, woohoo, this is the best thing ever, while he looks at the corpses of his friends? I just, like, he's saying it like this, it had to be this way or something.
Isn't always totally awesome.
That kind of subversion is classic Game of Thrones.
Classic Game of Thrones.
Getting something
Season 8 is
stupid
classic Game of
happen
Thrones.
is classic Game of Thrones. I just want to do the test on him, you know, the Luke in a nappy flying around the universe test. Just be like, how far do I have to go with subverting your expectations before you go, maybe this is stupid. I'd be like, yes!
Oh, wait. Oh.
We got there with him eventually.
The beginning, Ned's arc seemed to be going south to become Hand of the King and solve the mystery of Jon Arryn's murder.
You don't need to tell me about how in season 1 something happened that people found surprising. Okay? Stop it.
Yet, not only does Ned die, he also never figures out who the real killer was. The true arc was Ned's inner struggle, and like Jon, the legacy of his actions on the world isn't immediately apparent.
Ask me again in 10 years.
Not all, but so many of the complaints around the final season come down to some form of, this isn't what I expected.
No, you can't pull the same shit with The Last Jedi. You can't just say, oh, I didn't expect this, therefore it's bad. No, it's as we've said time and time again, ad nauseum. It's not because we didn't get something that we didn't expect. It's that what we got was shit. It didn't make any sense, and it was inconsistent.
But it wasn't what you wanted, though. You can't deny that, right?
I didn't want shit, so I guess if you want to
So I can
summarize
summarize in
sure.
saying you just didn't want it. Cool. That's what I'm going to
Well,
do.
it's kind of amazing how you explain it to these people right to their face, and they still think it's all about expecting and unexpected. It's like, no, dude, were you listening to a goddamn thing anybody had said to you so far? It's amazing.
Well, you see, everybody, when they watched Empire Strikes Back, they were like, oh, I hope Vader is Luke's father, because otherwise, fuck this movie. Like, I'm not watching it if that's not the case. Then it happened, they were like, yay, this is exactly what I wanted.
That Jon would sit the Iron Throne, to the belief that Jaime's ending would be more heroic. Which leads us to question, why did the audience have the expectations they did? And what is it about subverted expectations that's so hard to accept?
No, it's stop it.
Because
It's like a shield.
Path.
I swear to God,
Why can't
Ryan
you just
Johnson.
accept that you're a witch?
Ryan Johnson and D&D have ruined subverted expectations. Like, there are plenty of writers out there that use it to great effect, and it's just ruined because they keep saying it's like, you just don't like that style of writing. It's like, that's not what you did. You just fucked up. You're hiding behind it.
Part 2. What if Game of Thrones was never meant to be popular?
What?
Ah,
Are you fucking stupid? You
What
think HBO was like, yeah, we're gonna greenlight your show. Hopefully it won't be popular though.
otherwise we
fucking
might get a
idiot.
toxic fandom.
I'm just-
wait. Let's hear him out, guys. Let's hear him out.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I'm so curious as to where he's gonna go with this, because, like, where could this possibly go? What if Game of Thrones was never meant to be popular? Alright. Do it.
Throughout its 8-year run, Game of Thrones became what can only be described as a landmark television drama, pushing the limits of what a show could accomplish in terms of scope and story, and gaining popularity approaching that of Star Wars, Harry Potter, or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Simply put, the show reached mainstream status, which is complicated. So for those who don't know, Game of Thrones is based on this series of gritty fantasy novels by George R.R. Martin, who'd previously been known for writing really weird niche sci-fi, filled with telepathic hive minds, body snatching, and space Catholicism. The books, as well as the early seasons, trade out straightforward character arcs and cathartic victories for messy, soul-crushing realism. I say this to point out that, unlike Star Wars, Harry Potter, or the MCU, Martin's story was probably never meant to be a big crowd pleaser.
That's not what. When you say crowd pleaser and popular, you're gonna have to tell me what you mean now, because
There's so much wrong with everything he's just said. I'm just trying to figure out what I want to tackle first. So, Harry Potter and Star Wars, the idea that they are big crowd pleasers because they don't have moments that are, like, really sad or bad in them. You're like, you know that's wrong. Infinity War, like, part of what blew people away in that was you ended the movie to what is one of the biggest audiences ever, like, for a piece of media, with a bunch of very popular superheroes being killed. Kind of just like, wow. And, like, we were talking about it when it first happened. It's just like, yeah, my audience was dead silent. A lot of them were. They were just kind of in awe that they did that, because, you know, people was like, oh, they're going to come back. It's like, yeah, well, plenty of people at that point did not believe that shit. And, you know, you can make the same argument for Game of Thrones, because Resurrection is in the universe. So I just disagree dramatically with all of this. And he's citing a part of the show that hasn't even happened in the books. I'm not going to say it won't happen in the books, but people definitely need more reasoning for why Stannis would do this to his daughter. This is one of the fucking parts that piss everyone off. Conversely, a wide-scale audience watching The Red Wedding, you can go and check it on YouTube. There's a bazillion reaction videos of people being blown away by it. And I would always argue that it's because it made sense. All the pieces fit. Rob was fucking up. The Boltons are not to be trusted. Tywin has been sending letters all over the place. The Freys were betrayed. Everything slots in. So you're just like, oh. But, like, stuff like this just comes out of fucking nowhere. If anything, it comes out of antimatter. Shouldn't be happening.
Yeah. It's one thing to be surprised and shocked, and then it's another thing to be like, why the fuck did that just happen? Huh?
Were audiences happy when Dumbledore was killed in Harry Potter? That's like the end of one of them, right? The 7th one? 6th one? It's like, it ends that way, and Harry Potter's like super upset, and we only find out later in another film that that had reasoning behind it that was, you know, is contextual for a lot of other things that we didn't know. It's just not... Like, his whole point was that, what if it wasn't supposed to be popular? What if it was supposed to only have a niche audience that appreciate being fucked over? Like, basically, like, it was only supposed to be liked by people who hate stuff. I've never heard the argument that what if it was never supposed to be popular as a defense for why it's bad. And the way he developed it was not. People are saying spoilers. You kidding me?
Yeah.
Spoiling Harry Potter? Give me a break. Like, come on.
Spoil Harry Potter, man.
I mean, Snape kills Dumbledore was a goddamn meme of, like, what was it, like 2000?
I spoiled Star Wars
9?
too. Spoiled the Luke is Leia's father. I spoiled that, so fucking up all over the place apparently. Jay hasn't seen Harry Potter. Jay's seen Harry Potter, hasn't he?
No way. Surely.
I know I shouldn't say that about anything, but still.
It's trolling.
Mauler kills Dumble Rags.
Oh no.
Dumbledore.
Dog.
This is EFAP, even maths get spoiled here. Oh yeah, we did talk about maths for like a good hour. What if Game of Thrones was never meant to be good? That's what the Goodell quote will be. You shouldn't play this clip. This clip pissed off the fan base so fucking much.
Yeah, even
And just the idea was like, see, but that's the point. The show was trying to piss you off, or something like that. Go away.
But with the growing popularity of the show, season 6 and 7 saw Benioff and Weiss shift gears to a more mainstream narrative. There were probably a lot of reasons for this. Some business
were trying to end the show, so they start converging all plot lines into one big chunky one by the end.
Yep.
people loved it.
Yeah, we
They
really
thought it was
loved
very satisfying.
how
It made
rushed
tons
everything
of
was.
sense.
Fucking plotline of kidnapping a zombie and taking it to Cersei Lannister is like the stupidest thing that ever happened.
related, others to do with the challenges of adaptation. But the story that once built up Joffrey as a villain for 4 seasons, only to have him poisoned by a relatively minor character, became the show that gave
Relatively minor character. It was Littlefinger
yeah, I was about
and
to
Queen of
say.
Thorns. Those are 2 very significant characters. He said he does know that 2 people poisoned him, right? Not 1. This is awkward as a Game of Thrones superfan.
But the story that once built up Joffrey as a villain for 4 seasons, only to have him poisoned by a relatively minor character, became the show that gave every victory to the fan favorite character that most wanted it. So of course people expected Jon and Dany to achieve their goals together.
Well, they still gave Arya a huge victory. How do you explain that? He had to kill the Night King. He's like a huge fan favorite.
Huge
This
victory
doesn't
people
follow
were
your
really annoyed
narrative.
with.
I didn't.
Of course they expected Jaime to save King's Landing from Cersei. They just watched Sansa.
Not even. There's a lot of different.
Why do you think people would expect things? Why would people have expectations? Surely, is it based on things they've seen before?
I just like the idea that next Avengers movie, Tony Stark's just in it, and he's like, people expected him to not be in this film. See, their expectations were subverted, and that's why they didn't enjoy it. And you're like, no, he's dead. Like, what are you doing?
To execute her rapist, and Arya assassinate everyone who took part in the Red Wedding, and Grey Worm kill the slave masters, and the Stark kids avenge their dad.
Yeah, we have problems with each of those, actually, to a degree. Some of them are easier than others, but watching Sansa and Arya idiots kill Littlefinger, oh, don't remind me. That one did not go over well with people as well. This is why I keep thinking back to him being like, see, there was bad writing before. People were complaining about that. It's like, oh, they were.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah,
very
they
upset
were.
about these things.
He's going at this at the assumption that people just didn't expect it over and over again. The thing is, like, he's completely going off the path of people who are, who find things really, out there. And my mind is fried right now. I'm trying to come up with words and I can't.
Suddenly, we were being given a steady stream of good triumphing over evil, and people were eating it up. So when we got to the messy George R. R. Martin conclusion, audiences were jarred by the...
Isn't that kind of... So he's arguing like we had a bunch of good triumphing over evil, but then we got our George R. R. Martin thing. It's like, isn't the very good triumphing over evil is already counter to your assumption that everything is George R. R. Martin style?
Yeah, I thought it wasn't supposed to be popular because it wasn't like that.
Yeah, if we get 2 seasons of this stuff that we're not supposed to even be getting, then isn't that an issue then? Is that the show is clearly inconsistent with itself? I don't know. It seems like a really weird meandering point.
So when we got to the messy George R. R. Martin conclusion, audiences were jarred by the lack of cathartic victory. Thus
Wait, hold up. What do you mean the messy George R. R. Martin conclusion? Just the fact that it was dark and grim? So it's like a George R. R. Martin conclusion just because of that?
Guess so.
Why is he calling it that? I mean, George R. R. They were beyond the books at this point. George had nothing to do with it at that point.
Well,
is he referring to the
we
final
will
season,
find
or?
out, but the narrative is that gave them all the plot points, and that a lot of people assume that what happens at the end of season 8 is what is going to happen in George's books. It's just the way they got there was rushed and stupid, while he's probably going to develop it all. Who knows what he'll do now, because he's seen how fans have reacted to everything. I can't imagine he's ignored that in his work.
Yeah, and then he says he's going to make it mega different and shit when he gets the books out.
So yeah, who knows what we'll get, but I don't really know what to say. George R. R. Martin writes victories for characters. It happens.
George R. R. Martin conclusion, audiences were jarred by the lack of cathartic victory. Thus came a flood of emotions from the fandom. People were upset by the execution and content of what happened, and it became hard to draw the line where one feeling ended and the other began.
Okay.
So people stopped looking past flaws in the show's execution like they used to, and instead fixated on them directly.
Well, you have to remember, there's no repairing anymore because it's the end. So say something really bad happens, you'd be like, well, maybe next season we'll try and, like, redirect, fix it up. Nope. That's all you got. Joy. Brand is king now, for some reason.
He brought his own
Makes
chair.
sense.
He has the best story.
After all, people don't need much justification for stuff like Jon is king now, or Dany's finally coming to Westeros, like they do for Jaime goes back to Cersei. We actually saw this already with Stannis Baratheon, whose tragic ending received highly polarized reactions.
I thought you said that people weren't complaining about the earlier seasons. This is 5.
Yeah.
Depending on whether or not viewers had high hopes for the character, with his fans accusing...
What about high hopes? I don't care if he dies, as long as it makes sense. Because the fact that he killed his daughter... Go away.
the showrunners of intentional character assassination. And what happened with Stannis is now happening on a much larger scale, with
Agreed.
much more popular characters. While we can say that the tragedies of Ned, Catelyn, and Robb were better set up, it's also important to recognize that, thanks to online spoilers, most people knew those characters were doomed within a month of starting the show.
I'm sorry, I just can't agree with that. The amount of people who were blown away by the Red Wedding, despite it having been knowledgeable things you could find out about for like a decade, was still insane.
And what percentage of the Game of Thrones audience is going to actively go and look at leaks online?
Or look at the books. Yeah, they didn't want to. They were like, no, I want to see the show version. I just, like, I can't agree with them, because I was there. I remember where I was when I saw that it was that episode. It's season 3, episode 9. It's, YouTube was going nuts. People were just like, there's videos going up everywhere of compilations and reactions and just talking about how insane that was. It wasn't, well, you know, we saw it coming, so it's okay. Like, people would set up cameras to record their family watching the episode, and it's like really fun shit to watch, because they'd all just be like, no, 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 no. Like, please don't let this happen.
So those deaths didn't really betray people's idea of who those characters were, or shatter their expectations for what the story was supposed to be.
Are you suggesting that if we read that Daenerys killed a bunch of innocent children, we'd be okay with it? Like, if it was in the books already?
Because we wouldn't have our expectations subverted in the movie. It would just be subverted in a different place, and we'd be saying, "Oh no, these leaks came out, and there's no way they're real. These are totally fake. There's no way they're actually doing this."
It happened in the books, so you can't complain. Not gonna work.
Supposed to be. Take the new Star Wars movies. The Force Awakens contains scenes which bait its audience to wonder about stuff like Rey's parents or Snoke's origins. But since Disney never had a big picture plan for those plot threads,
it's not even. It's
First
Rian
off, one,
Johnson's
maybe that's the fucking
choice.
problem.
Yeah, I know. I don't disagree with that, but if you were brought in to write the sequel to Force Awakens, you don't need Disney to tell you what their plans for Snoke were. If they tell you can do whatever you want, still write his history. Still do whatever you want. Ryan didn't want to. He's just like, fuck it. And as far as we know, we've been told that there were plans. That Daisy Ridley said that JJ had outlines for episode 8 and 9. He had, like, guidelines for what everything was in, and Ryan was just like, nah, I'm good. Which is why people keep asking about JJ. Is like, JJ, you repairing this? And he's like, like I'm just making my own shit. I don't know, fuck it. Like the Red Light Media talked about it. It's just like he literally in an interview said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna fucking do whatever I want. Fuck it." He's clearly inspired by Ryan Johnson.
Stuff like Rey's parents or Snoke's origins.
Maybe there should be a new rule, by the way. Everything comes back to TLJ when it comes to talking about, I don't know, like opinions, criticism.
Yeah.
Always comes back to TLJ.
Certainly seem to keep coming back to here.
But since Disney never had a big picture plan for those plot threads, Ryan Johnson decided they weren't narratively important and ditched them in The Last Jedi. This made sense for his vision, but was a bummer for fan theorists who'd spent 2 years building their own headcanons around those questions.
Oh man!
Due to its emphasis on
calm down, Major
prophecy
League.
He said doo-doo.
and mystery, Game of Thrones actually engages in way more of this kind of theory baiting, with a fan community that's built on piles of online theory discussions.
And it satisfied loads of theories, like who Cold Hands was is pretty much confirmed, or the purpose behind a lot of the Three-Eyed Raven shit. Maybe that's like more of a 50-50, but John getting resurrection, there's loads of stuff, and it's just that a lot of other things that were set up, that all the pieces were there, just don't do a thing, and you're like, oh, okay. And I think that you have to have a reason for things to arbitrarily not happen or happen. It's really neat when we have reasons for things to happen. Just feel like he's about to say,
Damn, the robo dialers are really on you today.
For millions, speculating about Game of Thrones was a key part of enjoying it. Trust me, as a guy who once wrote a weirdly popular fan theory about Bran possessing Jon's dead body, I know how it is.
Huh.
And while that speculation was key to
Subtle
bringing
flex.
together a dedicated
he's like, I mean, my theory got a lot of traction. Just saying. Anyway, moving on with the point.
fandom, it also led to
Pretty good.
fans taking an
Sorry.
unwarranted
Free folk.
sense of ownership over the story. To get
Sense of ownership. I hate this attitude where it's like, anytime you understand a character, or at least you've seen what their limits are, how they choose things, someone else is just like, oh, you think you own them? No. You have a best friend, you're probably going to be very aware of what they will and will not do, and how they will or will not react to things. Same thing. But once we get enough information about a character, we're certain that they will or will not do certain things, and when they do the opposite, we get pissed.
even deeper into it, various fan communities even developed vastly different headcanons, and would ridicule each other over their wildly different, and as it turns out, equally incorrect expectations. So, people have difficulty accepting that Jon's parentage is meant to subvert the secret lineage trope, revealing, or accepting that.
Oh, I jumped around there. I'm kind of waiting for him to make more of a point.
So, people have
The
difficulty.
problem is he's completely he's completely strayed from the points that everyone else is making, and it just seems like it's entirely pointless to even respond to anything he's saying because he's not even addressing anything anybody's saying. So,
And is he about to like say like, oh, it subverted your expectation that Jon's lineage being a huge reveal isn't actually of any importance? I'd just be like, like they put all this effort into hiding it. It's a secret that starts as early as Jon was born. Got ties to like a huge amount of significant characters. It allows him to have the primary take on the throne. Like it's just like, he's like, yeah, you thought it would be important, well it's not. And you're just like, wow, that's it. That's all you got. It's very post hoc because they could have absolutely had it be massively important, and then you'd be sitting here being like, well, you see, it was set up. Yeah, you know how that works. You just either it's set up and it pays off, which is fine, or it sets up and doesn't pay off, which is also fine because that's subverting expectations. That's what I mean about like how it feels like it's just a defense. Anytime there's contradictive or stupid writing, you just go, oh, just subvert your expectations. That's all it did.
Yeah,
There's
it's
no
just like a
bad.
defense mechanism. You just didn't expect
accepting
it.
that Jon's parentage is meant to subvert the secret lineage trope, revealing it to be a burden rather than a solution. Or accepting that the Night King being defeated before the end is meant to reframe the Dark Lord trope from being an external evil to an internal consequence of the pursuit of power.
But it wasn't. That was completely. But the White Walkers were completely external to everything happening. That was what?
They were so external, in fact, that they were wiped out and nobody really noticed.
Nobody cared. It was just a quick side thing, and then they went off to Cersei.
And he keeps summing all these like events and things up in the story very like with what I would call flowery language and subverting tropes. He's not talking about any of the mechanics. Just sort of like addressing it all.
Yeah,
as
it's all
one-
flowery, themey, tropey.
Like, because if he was here, I'd just be like, can we stop on one of those? Let's go over this one. You said all this stuff. Let's see how you got there. And then all the contradictive information. And you're just like, yeah, but it's the beautiful ideas. You guys aren't considering the beautiful ideas.
Accepting that Jaime's story is an exploration of the limits of redemption arcs. But we also have to bear in mind that Martin came up with this
It's
stuff.
so
in the
meta,
90s,
guys. It's so
well
fucking
before the
meta.
internet had developed into what it is today. So we can't blame him for not expecting fans to come to the conclusions that they did.
Oh my God.
We can't blame
There's only
him.
only so many times you can say that's not what we're saying.
Yeah, that's true. I'm gonna get that sentence again, though.
Came up with this stuff in the 90s, well before the internet had developed into what it is today. So we can't blame him for not expecting fans to come to the conclusions that they did.
I don't blame him for... A little bit soupy to me. I'm having a lot of trouble trying to retain and repeat it.
Yeah, he's
Super
like
soup.
he's trying to say like, oh, because people's fan theories weren't confirmed, then they're mad at George R.R. Martin for it. It's like, dude, where are you going?
I mean, he's spent a long time trying to repeat the point that you just didn't get what you wanted, okay? Like, that's not what it is. Stop saying that.
But it's fan entitlement that causes literally 100% of misunderstanding being blamed on the writers. At
Wow,
no
literally 100%. It's all fan entitlement. What if the writers are actually shit?
I'm trying to,
That's
like...
impossible.
So he said 100% of misunderstandings are fan entitlement. Is he saying that a misunderstanding can never be on the writer? Is it possible for a writer to misunderstand their own character over the course of 8 years?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Impossible. You just don't know that you don't know writing like writers do. So no.
Like, man, get them off the pedestal, for fuck's sake. Yeah, they
What
wrote
if a
it. That
different
doesn't
writer
mean they're
criticized
gods.
the guys? Yeah. What if a different like
He
industry
literally
standard
said
writer
that
criticized?
Daenerys kinda forgot about the Iron Fleet. How do you do that?
Even though it was announced in the same episode.
And you have this guy being like, you know, hey, he wrote the character, he would know. It's like, are you kidding me? It's funny because, like, you'd think, oh, you're gonna have to try and find an example of a writer really being an idiot with their character. I'm like, I don't have to look very far. It's basically the most popular meme about D&D right now, so there you go.
Well, Danny wasn't listening.
point are most people accepting that they might have been wrong about anything. This is because people had projected their own ideas of where the story was headed onto the world and characters, and interpreted everything based on those expectations.
Basically, I'm saying that people tend to forgive a story that's sloppily done if it gives them what they wanted.
Yeah, you said that already. And I don't necessarily disagree with the idea that people will forgive sloppy writing if their characters still behave the way they expect them to.
Yeah.
But that's not what happened in Season 8 at all. And I know that he knows that. But the fundamental he's missing here is that there was a hell of a lot of criticism of the previous seasons still. Not like people ignored these problems.
But those same people get hypercritical if a story subverts their expectations in a way that's upsetting.
So I guess his point is that if they're both sloppy, right, both approaches, if one of them is what was expected, it's okay. If one of them was not what was expected, then it's not okay.
Sometimes people are really irritated with seeing something that they expected would happen. They're all like, "Oh, boring! I saw this coming a mile away." Yeah.
And it's just, it's so much more complicated than he's making it sound.
YouTube call out.
I'm sure a lot of you have seen Think Story's How Game of Thrones Should Have Ended. In this video, Think Story recites his fanfiction of how the story should have played out, abandoning everything subversive and instead just playing out all the most popular fan theories.
Abandoning everything subversive. It's got to be subversive.
It's so insane. I like the idea that, you know, Lord of the Rings did end as Tismi, as we were saying earlier, and then this guy says, you know how it should have ended? We should have had Frodo, like, reaching the right at the end of the journey, and he's very conflicted, but he realizes that he's going to become something like Gollum if he doesn't commit to the action with support from Sam. We have Aragorn leading the remainder of all of men and warriors, including all of the characters we come to love, directly into the Black Gate to distract Sauron, and you know, whatever else. And then he's just like, ugh. Isn't that all obvious, though? Aragorn being heroic, Frodo dropping the ring into the volcano. It's like, can you not try and think outside the box just a little bit? And this is why, I think we've said this before, but it's like, Jesus Christ, I'm in the mood for some stories that are predictable. I'm tired of all this shit where it's just like...
Yeah, it means that there are logical results of the things that we see on screen.
Yeah, like,
that's kind of cool.
Being rewarded for paying attention, it's really neat. Like...
Yeah.
Boromir tried to take the ring off Frodo, which is pretty expected considering how Tismi's been about the ring this whole time. Why couldn't you have subverted us and have him just be an angelic creature that flies to the volcano? That would have been way better. Shitty arguments.
Yep.
Jaime kills Cersei. Bran gets stuck in the Night King's memories.
Don't think that a lot of viewers really thought that was going to happen. That's much more of a critical thinking, like, because the biggest thing people had for this was how they look kind of similar facial structure wise. Like, oh, going from there, what else can we draw from it? What I mean, he highlights all these different fan theories, and he's like, they were all conflicting and they were all wrong, and it's like, yeah, you're right, they were all wrong. Nobody predicted that Daenerys was going to kill hundreds of thousands of innocent people. You know why?
Nope.
Like, why do you think nobody made that prediction?
Do you know why? Subversion.
Because nobody appreciates good storytelling, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody appreciates it.
Playing out all the most popular fan theories. Jaime kills Cersei. Bran gets stuck in the Night King's memories. Jon makes the big sacrifice and is remembered as a hero king. And then Queen Dany carries forward his legacy. And of course, this video was wildly popular, even though it ditches the tough questions Martin asks about war and power, and just offers a conformist fanfiction about heroes saving the world from...
Still a hell of a lot better than what we got. Even if it was conformist. What does that even mean? It conforms to realities of the script? I don't know.
Yeah, conforms to consistency.
Freaking conformist.
From Ice Thanos. So Think Story, thank you for being such a perfect example of mediocrity.
Ooh.
Man.
Okay.
I wonder if Think Story's seen this video.
I wonder.
On.
How many views does this video have? Or better yet, what's the like-dislike ratio?
Like, this ratio isn't too bad. It's like 7 to 3, if you will.
And the views, there's only 4,000 views on this video itself. And we're about...
On the one we're covering?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
A lot of people are very in favor of the video from the comment section, from what I'm seeing. I think that people would have sought this one out, I guess, if they were feeling that Season 8 was getting too much shit thrown at it. Or it maybe been recommended, I don't know. I just find it amusing that he's calling someone mediocre. I just wanted to say that. Alright.
Yeah.
I bring this up because it exposes the entitlement of fandom. Like,
You just want shit to make sense, you entitled prick.
But not everything has to be Endgame.
Not everything has to be Endgame.
Nothing. How is it that you have used this as the example?
Is he just talking about the fact that
we're only just now getting to Endgame, and they're all like, "Oh,
Endgame
you just
gets
wanted
lots
to
of flack."
Endgame.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll him back. I just want to see how he got there.
Like, I enjoyed Endgame as much as the next guy, but not everything has to be Endgame.
I don't even know what that means because it's divisive.
There's so many. Whatever his comparison's gonna be, it's gonna be inaccurate. Like, there's so many reasons why this is not a good comparison. Endgame pissed off a shit ton of people. It's... Where are you going with this, buddy?
The time travel.
Not every story has to please the mainstream.
It didn't please the mainstream. It split the mainstream. A lot of people loved it, but there's a shit ton of people who didn't.
That's not what Game of Thrones was ever supposed to be. In a world where stories so often fail due to corporate greed, or a lack of creativity, or pandering too hard to a particular demographic, Game of Thrones is actually being punished for the opposite. It's being punished for keeping to the artistic vision of its author.
The artistic vision of just, it doesn't matter what it is. Fuck it. Man, it's like, do these people just want stories that make no sense all the time, that are so nonsensical, where there's no progression, where there's no logical conclusions or results? It is impossible to guess what will happen next.
Well, we already got it
if
from
anything,
him.
If anything, it's a quality of a story if you can somewhat reliably kind of see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. Especially if you have like multiple things that could happen, or things that can happen that you hadn't considered because you didn't put pieces together that were there. All these different ways of doing it, but he's already said it. It's the ideas, the theme, just the fact that it's like you just said, asking questions. Execution is irrelevant, and I think that defeats the entire point. If your entire media is built on a baseline question, such as what does it mean to be human, everything you build is an attempt to translate that message in a subtextual way, not just, you know what, fuck it, it doesn't matter what I put on top of all of it, as long as you can see that bit at the bottom. That was my goal the whole time. Okay, we good? Cool. Like, shits on these other things for just trying to make money, when the biggest criticism people had for D&D was the fact that they clearly didn't give a fuck because they wanted to make Star Wars. Like, it's the peak of like Hollywood corporatism that they want to move up the ladder, and he's like defending this as if it's some kind of like high art. Good job.
Did it.
Way to go.
Part 3.
Oh,
what if
this
I'm
won't
wrong?
take long.
Oh, yeah.
The answer is yes.
But what happens if he's wrong?
Okay, so I've made some harsh claims. I've said that a lot of people's reactions are being driven by their attachment to an incorrect idea of what the story was supposed to be. As
Bold
in,
claim.
I believe the story was always going to have Jaime choose to die with Cersei, Dany burn King's Landing, Jon chosen as king.
You know, saying Dany burns King's Landing, there's many different ways that sentence can be satisfied. And, well, the one we got was possibly the very worst. So, like, if you told me, do you think she'll burn King's Landing? I've been like, yeah, maybe. Do you think she'll kill everyone there? I'd be like, no.
Was always going to have Jaime choose to die with Cersei, Dany burn King's Landing, Jon exiled to the Night's Watch, and Bran chosen as king.
Who would have thought he would be exiled to the Night's Watch? It's like
no
it's such
sense.
it's just, after all this, like, just go back to your day job.
There is no Night's Watch anymore. The North isn't even connected to the Seven Kingdoms. Grey Worm's not even going to stay in Westeros. None of it makes any sense. It's such a disaster.
It's the story Martin was always telling, and for the most part, anything else would have been untrue to it. But what if I'm wrong? Wrong about what's driving people's anger, or wrong about the story?
We're very wrong about
wrong. You're so fucking wrong.
Super wrong.
Just plain wrong.
Story Martin is telling, or wrong about what's good.
What about everyone else? All the other people who think they know what's good.
Though my channel has become most widely known for predicting that Bran would be king, I have to admit that over the years I've had a ton of theories, and most of them ended up being wrong. Yet, every time, I was so sure that I'd figured things out, that I knew what was good and what the story.
I bet you
one's on
didn't.
you, mate.
I bet you didn't predict that Bran would be the king because he has the best story.
He's got the best chair.
There's no fucking way you predicted it was that reason.
It was supposed to be. Truth is, I've always been a little too certain that I'm right about things, and that's something that I've always had to work on, and maybe so do a lot of us. And if you notice,
now you've just deflected that onto other people. Maybe I have a flaw, but so does everyone else. Good job. Well, that's good introspection.
Yeah, man, it's just, I'm just waiting for, it feels like a roundabout way of being like, we all have our opinions, okay? We'll be
How
right and wrong.
humble.
something that I've always had to work on.
Actually, could you pause it here? I I need to do something real quick. Just a second. Because I'm having a little bit of a tisme here.
He's gone to Tismyland.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, he's got the robo dialers up his ass lately.
I feel like he just burst into his house, like with a gun. They were like, "This is a robbery," and he's like, "Give me a sec. You did, guys, just one sec."
Hold on a sec. There's some Tisme in my house.
There's something there. My computer did a tisme, so I had to untism it.
Were you
Let
successful?
me rejoin. I was successful.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Welcome to Watch Together.
And
Oh, is the video up for you?
I think it's
a
loading.
little too certain that I'm right about things. And that's something that I've always had
I
to
will
work
go
on.
ahead and
Rejoin.
reload the page. Yep.
Wonderful.
The story was supposed to be. Truth
there
is,
we go.
I've always been a little too certain that I'm right about things. And that's something that I've always had to work on. And maybe so do a lot of us. And if you notice,
Wow.
that was a big
What a
part
pair
of
of
the
lines.
message of Game of Thrones
What
there
a,
at
what a
the
pair
end.
of lines.
Well, what's wrong with it, Rags? Do you disagree?
Oh, no, it's great. I agree with it all. It's amazing.
They
He's
went
always right.
together and everything. There was a period at the end.
It
that
was
was perfect.
It was poetry in a way.
It was
just what
it
I
was
expected.
poetry. It
And that's
rhymes.
something that I've always had to work on. And maybe so do a lot of us. And if you notice, that was a big part of the message of Game of Thrones there at the end. That maybe in the process of being so certain that you know what's good, you aren't doing any...
I'm just like Game of Thrones. I'm just like the Game of Thrones theme. Aren't I so good? I'm so right because I'm just like Game of Thrones.
Does this sound familiar to anyone? The
Fucking
certain
hell.
other movie where people are like, people are judging TLJ for its failures, when the theme of the movie was that failure is the best teacher. Don't you see? Don't you see?
And good people like this movie,
And
so
they-
please be good.
Like I've said this before, it's a meme that we hate themes and that they can take it seriously sometimes. The people on the team of themes are the only thing that matters. But like these kinds of arguments are why we get so bored with the word. We're like, stay away from it. You're not allowed to have that word anymore. Just bores the ever-living crap out of me that you just forget about every other element in favor of a neat message. It's just like,
anyone any good. Maybe people are out here pointing out plot holes while missing one of the key messages the show tried to deliver. That it's
The
destructive
message.
to be so stuck in our
theme.
own perspective that we stop trying to understand.
How
destructive
about
to be.
you?
Just ignore the plot holes,
Why don't
guys.
you
Ignore the fact that the
understand?
story doesn't fucking make sense, and just soak up the message.
He's not even like, he's so tacit though, because it's just like, maybe you're wrong, guys. Like, oh, is that it? Outside of telling
Like,
us for the whole video that we didn't get what we wanted, you're gonna add on the end, maybe you're wrong. Thanks.
I'm wrong about what I wanted. Wait, what?
It's like this has been, quite a nothing video. Like I was kind of hoping for a little bit more than this, but it's mainly just literal arguments from themes.
Yep.
I mean, does this kind of backlash really benefit anyone?
Yeah,
Yeah. Future writers.
yeah. Don't make shitty stories that don't make sense.
And don't rush them to completion, otherwise it'll just destroy it. And people are going to really give a shit.
Also, look at this shot. There's like, what, 20 dudes in the middle of a field and some dragons hanging out in the back and midgets up
You know-
front. What is this? What is
Oh,
this?
this is something I complained about. This is episode 4.
standing. Yeah, he's standing in front of a fucking scorpion.
It's this whole. It's all terrible, right? Don't even bother wasting brain cells on that one. So like the whole, is the backlash helping anyone? It's just like, so backlash is only ever gonna happen if it can help at least one person. Is that how it develops? Your goal has to be an interest of change for the better. Yes, it's like, well, yeah, we want better writing. Is that good enough? How are we gonna get it if we don't make our position known that we think this is terrible? Do we just shut up and hope that we gamble and get good writing? And you might be like, oh, it's a bit dramatic. I'm just like, well, he's made it dramatic. He's made it sound like this is some major event when it was fans of a TV show saying this was fucking shit. So yeah, I don't really see, like, he's like, who's it benefiting? It's like, I don't know. There's probably some people out there who got to do some critical thinking about how important it is to have characters be consistent, have plot lines make sense, have world building that actually matters. Such a like petty little moment of just like, stop being mean.
Stop.
Anyone?
Just like it.
Probably not. I think this need to direct all of our anger at a particular person when we feel let down tends to miss the bigger picture. With Game of Thrones, it's Benioff and Weiss. Even though there are much bigger structural issues
caused by them as the writers of the story. But okay.
With adapting A Song of Ice and Fire into a television format.
It's when they stopped adapting it that the problems were becoming huge. It's like, what are you talking about?
I mean, George R. R. Martin himself splits the story in half for books 4 and 5.
Right.
A strategy which would have been impossible to do with a television show. Also, he throws in a bunch more characters.
Impossible.
Why would that be impossible?
Yeah, why would that be impossible?
Has he seen The Prestige or Memento? Films known for the out of order structure. I don't know. It's impossible? Nope. Agree.
A strategy which would have been impossible to do with a television show. Also, he throws in a bunch more characters, and he's spent the last 8 years writing the 6th book.
Good point. Fucking, they stopped adapting well earlier than that one, so...
Meanwhile, D&D had to not only condense the story, but do it in a fraction of the time.
So, all he's doing right now is trying to reason why it makes sense that it's bad, which doesn't address the point, which is that it's bad. It's like, I don't care whether or not... Like, if you tell me the director had one leg, I'm like, okay, that sucks for him. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, it doesn't change what it is.
People call them out on rushing the story, but they went one season beyond their initial plan.
Yeah, which was several seasons below both what HBO wanted and what George R. R. Martin wanted, so don't even go there. They were always intending to use this as a stepping stone. Ugh.
And spent an entire 2 years on the final 6 episodes.
Which is insane that they spent 2 years on this. Like, how do you spend 2 years on this?
If anything, that just condemns the point. They had all the... If anything, it would be like a defense to say, man, they were super rushed. They had like no time. They ran out of funding. They had some legal issues with a copyright thing and a lawsuit or something. Don't say they had all the time in the world. They had tons of time. All the time. They could have taken all this time.
They were given plenty of time. Instead, they spent it on a budget for burning children. So
still turned out.
You gotta get it right. You gotta get the bones right.
Yeah.
Called crisp.
I like the idea, by the way, that he's saying this, and there's like a producer in the background, and when he says like, they took an extra year writing this, and the producer starts to do like the cut it out motion, like, don't say that. Just fucking it up.
That's a lie.
They made mistakes, yes, but they did so because they had a hard...
Game of Thrones writing is very hard. Therefore, if you do shit, it's okay. Like, how do you think this works out in the Olympics? Hey man, beating the fastest guy in the world in the race is hard. Can I just get the gold anyway? Like, no.
Can I just not lose? Because that would be very toxic.
Insane.
I trained so hard for this. If I lose, it just wouldn't be right.
It wouldn't be fair. Why is meritocracy so damned these days? It's like, fuck you guys. Everybody gets a gold. It's like, you realize that
Working
gold
hard
means...
is hard. Okay.
What does the gold
Working hard
mean
makes
if everyone
bad.
gets it? Means fuck all. Participation trophies for everybody.
Our job.
Oh, people are saying Goodell. That's true.
We're back here again. Huh?
People saying Goodell. What should I write about this?
Poop.
Look,
Just the word poop.
Poop.
hard to write things. So when they're bad,
It's hard to write things.
it's okay.
That's just good enough as it is right there. It's hard to write things.
That's okay. P.S. Poop.
Yes,
did so because they had a hard job. Alternatively, with The Last Jedi, everyone's villain was Rian Johnson, despite there being much
crazy how people are picking the writers as the people who are responsible for the writing. What universe are people coming to this conclusion? I don't understand.
Who should they go for exactly?
Well, obviously the costume designers, they're the ones.
Oh, okay.
It was them the whole time. Those fucking costume designers. They're responsible for everything. But imagine there's like this huge expose video with all the costume designers like sabotaging the project, like with the fucking coffee cups, and they're like telling the actors to act badly or something, and they change the scripts on the fly. They like damage the editing or something. It's like, I knew it.
And now with my magical costume cloak, I will make this Luke disappear.
I like that he's showing this image as well, which is like, oh yes, this image makes Rian Johnson look way better.
Oh, yeah.
He's shitting on fan theories. Cool.
much bigger structural issues with the way Disney brought back Star Wars. Yet the backlash over The Last Jedi didn't push Disney to re-examine the broader problems with their trilogy.
What do you mean? Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
People made a shit ton of videos talking about the OT and how you've damaged its legacy and what you should have done.
Yep.
How many videos are there talking about how they should have written it or how, like, what a pathway could have been better? Like, what do you mean?
Can we even count at this point?
He's just wrong. Fucking people made re-edits of the films trying to direct them in better directions.
Disney brought back Star Wars. Yet the backlash over The Last Jedi didn't push Disney to re-examine the broader problems with their trilogy. It just
that's the
some
problem.
people and
That's the problem. And plus, like, does he know that? We haven't seen episode 9 yet. What if they suddenly try to backtrack on like a whole lot of character developments that sucked and try to save them later? Like, does he know that that's what they're doing because of the fan backlash? No. Movie's not out yet.
I was just reading this. So it's like a post celebrating getting rid of Kelly Marie Tran from Instagram. I don't really get it.
Yeah, I don't.
Like, if I could speak to this person, I'd be like, what do you think has been achieved? It's like, what does that change?
Yeah, what did you do here?
Ever since the good old days of raiding the comments of Star Wars books from 2014, orchestrating the spoiler jihad of 2015.
Never heard of it.
Go out there and fight for Legends restoration. Go out there. Why do you think forcing an actress off Instagram would be a step toward getting...
Yeah,
weird?
why would they carry along with it?
push them back to J.J. Abrams, whose idea of a Star Wars movie was just a retelling of A New Hope.
Except
ultimately, fan backlash didn't stop the milking of Star Wars.
So what?
So just smile and be glad that they're doing
just
it.
Consume product.
Just be happy. Just consume product and then get happy for next products.
What is your... Why is he advocating for people to not feel? Hashtag let us feel.
They can feel. They can feel just one particular way.
Or feel
you have
quietly
to like it
as
and
well.
Enjoy it and support it. If you don't
Be
like
glad
it,
with
then
what
shut
you got.
up.
Just be happy you got anything.
Be happy you exist, you piece of shit. Okay.
Put a board on Pluto and it's boring and cold.
Jeez.
Ultimately, fan backlash didn't stop the milking of Star Wars. It just invited more shameless pandering.
Didn't Solo bomb?
Yes.
Man, Solo, I know you probably forgot because it's fucking a shitty Star Wars movie, but didn't Solo lose money? A Star Wars movie by Disney lost money.
Yeah, and it had
That's
nothing.
insane.
I'm sure it had nothing to do, like. I'm sure they didn't lose any sales thanks to The Last Jedi. I'm sure it had nothing to do with that. I'm sure the fact that people tried to organize a boycott didn't have any effect whatsoever. Or the fact that they reshot the shit out of it because they were concerned about the content, they wanted people to like it, had nothing to do with it. I'm sure the fact that Bob Iger announced that Disney were going to stop releasing Star Wars films too hastily after that debacle. None of this has anything to do with fan backlash or fans choosing not to watch the films. None of it does. It doesn't get anything done. Yep. This guy said it. It doesn't. So stop it.
Yep.
Stop hating things, guys. Just like things. Much better.
Just consume product.
You'll be happier.
Looking of Star Wars, it just invited more shameless pandering. This is kind of an obvious statement, but television and film is largely driven by the market. And so...
We're the market, you idiot.
There's such a like.
It's not the fans, it's the market. It's like, are you daft?
Who do you think's in the market? Like,
What do you think the market is? Just soulless robots existing in the ether, controlled by satellites in outer space?
this whole other species of glumps. It's just they control it.
marketoids.
We're like, oh man.
Control the strings of media.
I hope the glumps continue to encourage Star Wars movies. I want to see
in
more.
the shadows.
What is this
Don't do it.
stupid statement? What do you mean?
Pandering. This is kind of an obvious statement, but television and film is largely driven by the market. And so what gets made will typically be what can reliably turn a profit. On account of just how much goes into shows and movies today, studios avoid taking risks, leading to our current age of remakes, reboots, and
You
adaptations.
don't have to take risks. No, don't make a dichotomy between good stories and like not taking risks.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not even. You can tell a good story that people like, and at the same time not take risks.
I refuse to agree that Logan wasn't risky, that Deadpool wasn't risky, and that Infinity War's ending wasn't risky. Those things were all risky. They don't know how people are going to react to all of that.
Yeah.
They don't know how much money
Joker
those
was
things are going to make.
risky.
Yeah.
Joker was really risky. Rated R.
And like, yeah, I just to essentially bolster what Rags said, it's like we're talking about consistent and inconsistent, and he's now labeling them risky and non-risky. You're like, no, that's a different thing. Stop it. Risky. I don't even like the idea that it's like a film isn't good unless it's risky or something. Like it's not gonna be fun. You end up with all of these franchises. You want everything to be homogenous in Hollywood? No. So encourage things like The Last Jedi, which is like the peak of Hollywood corporate slop being pooped out of a space cow. Like how do you see that one as breaking the mold, being risky? Is it literally just because people didn't like it? Is that how it's risky? It was risky, I'll give him that. It was absolute nonsense, and I don't know who the hell would have thought that it was a good idea, but plenty of people did apparently.
When we punish stories that try to be subversive, we're implicitly telling studios to keep
No, it's like this is the whole thing. If it's like he's conflating so many things here, and he's just lumping them together, and he's making connections that just don't exist. Like, oh, you want good things. Well, studios want to play it safe, so they have to be subversive? What?
Wait,
Like how do you think
establishing that we're punishing it for being subversive. Like, you have not proven that it's subversive rather than batshit insane and written by somebody who's clearly like upside down, and I just didn't have like a third of their brain. I'm gonna say that because, you know, we need to be alive, but that's mainly the issue we're trying to address, not it being subversive. Again, there's another word I kind of want to strike from their language. Like, you're not allowed to have that one now either. Stop it. You're ruining it. You're ruining words.
playing it safe. So, for better or worse, I appreciate when people have the courage to try something different.
it's not the problem that we had.
No, we could just test this. We're like, okay, so come watch my movie. It's about, I recorded a man pooping for 2 hours aggressively.
Yeah, I was stuck in sideways. He's a big meat eater. It's just, oh man.
You had to get a plunger at one point. It's gross, but it's subversive.
Yeah, you had to dislodge it. Yeah, it was just very riveting.
It ends with him like almost getting it, and then the door bursts open, someone just shoots him in the head. It's just like, what? That was subversive.
I was about to say,
you don't get your payoff.
Is this a story of Wings of Redemption? And then we went in that direction. I'm like, oh shit.
It's just Wings of Redemption just taking the biggest Wings of Redemption shit you can imagine.
I thought you were just saying like a Wings of Redemption is now a poop. It's like a euphemism. That's why we refer to it. He was taking a Wings of Redemption.
Well, out there somewhere in the world, there is a toilet whose job it is to be in Wings of Redemption's house.
Oh.
This ain't no sorority toilet, all right.
No, that's a sympathetic character.
This is the same thing we've done with so many people as well, but you just be like, there are no deeper themes of a man pooping on something. I'm like, you see, the toilet is golden in this, and the man himself is this No, actually, the man is golden. The toilet is all ragged and oily or scratched and dirty. It represents the high class pooping on the low class. Supposed to try and extend to the idea that a hero is needed for the low class. A man with a gun who shoots the high class while it's pooping. It's very deep. You don't understand it. Also subversive. That's why you didn't like it. It didn't go the way you wanted. La 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 la. I win.
It's commentary on the meat industry.
You don't even have to make an argument at that point. You can just rattle it all off.
We need more weird.
I think you're making a terrible mistake.
Weird?
The freedom to make my own mistakes was all I ever wanted.
So you agree that the writers made a mistake, okay? That's all we're really after.
Yeah, okay.
They were always free to make mistakes. They have full control over the writing. What the hell do you think that we thought? That we wanted to control it?
We need more like this. By the way, they made mistakes. Like what?
It would literally take...
I would say we need less mistakes.
Yeah, and I would take literally any fan at random and have them rewrite season 8, and I'm almost certain it would be better. Just even a child who shouldn't have been watching it. Like, I don't even care. It would be better.
Which brings me back to the petition and maybe my most controversial point. In a recent interview, actor Nikolai Coster-Waldau joked that the final season of Game of Thrones would be remade once the 1 million people who signed the petition could all agree on an ending.
And while he makes a great point about how it's impossible to appease every...
They probably fucking could.
They probably...
You know, if they actually...
Yeah.
If they actually put their heads together and there was a real group effort for it, you probably could actually come up with a one ending that was agreed upon.
Yeah, and if we're accounting for no trolls, like nobody who's saying no just for the sake of it, and then like generalized storylines that can all be voted on, you probably get one that the 1 million people were like, yeah, okay, and especially if we're gonna go with prefer it over what they got. Like, we'll get it pretty easily, actually. Probably like first try. Like,
yep.
Again,
John goes on the throne, and Danny goes to Baskin Robbins. The end.
Yeah, literally. Cool. That sounds better. Just get anybody to do it.
Redemption goes to the throne.
I do want to challenge his point just a little bit,
because I actually think it would have been easy to make an ending that was better received than the one we got.
Yeah, no shit.
Which is actually why David Benioff and D.B. Weiss deserve some credit. It would have been easy for them to abandon Martin's vision and do a...
Martin's vision?
Took a lot of guts.
You just...
They bravely abandoned J.R.R. Martin's roadmap that had brought them so much success and that so many people really liked and was satisfying and made sense, and they boldly went off in their own direction to fucking batshit crazy universe where things don't make sense, but everything is subversive.
What heroes?
How's that turn out?
Look, seriously, pouring oil over yourself and jumping into a volcano, it takes a lot of guts. Right? You need to appreciate that. I think the most desperate arguments ever. And in fairness, this is the first I've seen of like people trying to defend the shit out of season 8 of Game of Thrones. Like, it is interesting. So this is reminiscent of all the shit we've been through with TLJ.
This is the same kind of... You could say the exact same thing about like mass murderers and pederasts. It's like, yeah, it takes a lot of guts to do that. Like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
A lot of Goodell in chat. We should come back on that.
What do they want me to Goodell exactly, though? Because the comment he's got on the screen, I'd probably want to turn it into...
No, what he said vocally, I think.
Maybe what I said about the oily volcano?
No. What the dude said.
What did he say?
Just rewind.
All right.
Than the one we got. Which is actually why David Benioff and D.B. Weiss deserve some credit. It would have been easy for them to abandon Martin's vision and do a crowd-pleasing ending that people were expecting. Have Jon sword fight the Night King. Have Jaime heroically kill Cersei.
Yes.
No, not necessarily. This is the problem.
Anything at this point is better.
Oh no, that's true, but he's picking like singular endings as if he's already highlighted how fans had like a bazillion conflicting different endings. Just none of them were terrible compared to what we got. And so like I'm just an advocate for like just have it make sense. It doesn't necessarily have to be all of these very rigid things. But like there's some things you should probably avoid. I can at least recommend that.
He's saying anything
Have
that was
Daniels-
predictable was bad.
So, well, funnily enough, that's what Major Lee said about TLJ, if you remember right. Said that anything that was predictable was bad, but he predicted that Ray's parents were nobody, and he like pats himself on the back for it, even though he said that being able to predict any of it would be a sign of like
yeah,
poor
these
writing.
people's videos constantly
Fan theories are
contradict
dumb.
themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Rough to watch.
Has this guy said once that he enjoys season 8, or is he more so trying to the dog pile here?
No,
I don't
he
know,
never
actually.
said anything about enjoying it.
I'm not actually sure of
haven't
what
heard
his
any of
take on season 8 is. I think the main vibe I'm getting is we're being too mean to it when all the rest of it has problems too, and then highlighting a couple of other things. But maybe he really didn't like
It
it,
would have been
and then he was upset by how angry everybody was.
easy for them to abandon Martin's vision and do a crowd-pleasing ending that people were expecting. Have
Makes
Jon
sense.
sword fight the Night King. Have Jaime heroically kill Cersei. Have Dany install democracy and then fly off into the sunset with Jon. An ending like that isn't hard to come up with. After all, that's
I'm confused. Like, so when you're in the writing room and you're like, fuck, how do we end this? And then someone suggests that Dany kills a whole bunch of women and children. Would he just sit there going like, man, that was hard to come up with. Nice. Why is that hard to come up with? It's just dumb.
And then it's like, okay, so who gets the throne? It's like, he takes out like a suction cup dildo and just flings it at the wall and it
It
hits a name.
sticks.
Bram.
What if Daddy turned into a mass murderer?
I just like I'm picturing like a painter trying to do a really realistic drawing. Then some guy just starts, wide brush splattering everything all over it, and he's like, in fairness, it was more risky and it was harder to pull off. And I'm just like, neither of those things, neither of them. Making shit up. I want you to justify how it was hard to write that Dany killed everyone. Sounds pretty simple to me, actually.
sort of fan servicey wish fulfillment is pretty much exactly what they wrote for Battle of the Bastards, and it received widespread acclaim.
But it wasn't
Seriously,
actually good.
people,
So how does he explain stuff like the Red Wedding and Ned Stark?
He doesn't. That's the key.
Don't talk.
Let me have a look at
Shh.
You said 9.8 for that.
The thing.
If he's right-
Waller.
If he's right, then the Red Wedding should have at least a relatively low rating, right? Oh.
Listen, you're so focused on hard data and numbers and reality, but you need to let go of all that.
Well, I know
And you
reality's bad. I know that. Get it?
Reality or bad.
Nothing ever worked well because of paying attention to reality. I get it.
You know what's in
Oh.
reality? Hitler.
So this is weird, right? I don't know. I don't know what to say. That look, I'm just presenting. This is probably wrong. This is doctored information. This is edited probably, but I'll read it out. So the Reigns of Castamere, the Red Wedding, the episode got a 9.9 on IMDb, which is impossibly hard to get as a
No,
rating.
that can't. Obviously doctored. It was reverse review, but
85,000 reviews scores, averaged out to 9.9. You know, the heroes didn't exactly win in that episode, and yet the fans enjoyed it. I don't understand. What could have happened?
Toxic fandom.
Remind me, which of the seasons where they were paying close attention to adapting the books? 1 through 4. Oh, and which season was this from? 3. Huh. Where did the fans feel like the seasons went insane the first time? Season 5? Oh. It's almost like a lot of this is tied to the writing quality rather than what the fuck's happening in general terms of heroes winning and bad guys losing. I don't know how he would react to all of this. I just think, like, paying attention.
widespread acclaim. Seriously, people, the last 2 episodes of season 6 are not well written. People just liked watching the heroes win. So despite
I even disagree with that. Doesn't support the rest of his fucking conclusions.
everything, I respect D&D for trying.
Stop saying that. I respect them for. I wouldn't even necessarily disagree, but I'm not convinced they tried. I don't
They
have
did a
evidence
good
for
job.
this.
They took risks and made it more epic.
I don't feel like we have indications that they tried in terms of writing. And if you're gonna reference stuff like, I don't know, it's like the acting, I'd be like, yeah, we've got plenty of evidence. costume design, set design, special effects. Like, yeah, there's lots of evidence. But it's like the writing, we only ever have to go on with writing is what's being written, obviously. It's pretty bad. Like, I don't know what else, I don't know where you're getting this from.
Respect D&D for trying, for doing a final season that took big risks.
Saying that.
Do I think it was great? No. But it was ambitious. And to me, that's more important.
But you keep saying that.
It's amazing.
Stop it.
Now,
It wasn't great, but
Took some damn risks. That's what it did.
of course,
it
there
took
are
guts,
things
damn it.
You can just do this while you're sitting on the toilet one day. Take some courage.
I would have done differently. Characters I don't think were handled well, and valid criticisms to make. But we should consider that for everything the showrunners might have gotten wrong, there were probably a ton of things we had wrong too.
Oh my god. For everything they got wrong, we got stuff wrong. What does that even mean?
I'm not sure, honestly.
I'm gonna put that one in good. No. For everything you guys think creators got wrong, you got wrong. That makes even less sense, and I kind of want to keep it that way. You just be sitting like, what the fuck does that mean?
And instead of obsessing over plot holes, maybe our energy would be better spent trying to reach a better understanding, and appreciating that despite being really flawed, the ending we got was genuine, not focus grouped or test marketed.
What do you know that?
I believe that.
And why does that mean it's automatically to be appreciated? Like, holy shit, you could have test marketed, group controlled things that end up being great. I mean, isn't the whole point that like something like Star Wars was assumed to be kind of like a potential money dump and that they should be really careful, and then it just blew everyone away?
Yeah. They didn't expect it to be popular. We've come full circle.
What did you describe it as? Real?
Too.
Real.
And instead of
Trigger words.
obsessing over plot holes, maybe our energy would be better spent trying to reach a better understanding, and appreciating that despite being really flawed, the ending we got was genuine.
What the fuck does that mean? That's one of our thingy words. You got like real, legitimate, genuine, actual. Like these words that are just like, what the fuck does that mean? Give me a translation, because I don't think you're using it for what I assume it meant.
Not focus grouped or test marketed, but an attempt to explore some tough questions.
Hey Rags, you just described the story as genuine.
Genuine.
No,
What
that
does
was
he
it.
mean by that?
That was it. It's just
What do you mean
genuine.
this?
Yeah, that was it. He didn't-
No, we need some. That doesn't make sense.
No,
I
stop
need you
it.
to.
No.
Nope.
The story is not lying. Okay.
The story's not lying. I think
okay.
it's lying. There's no way this stuff happened.
All right then. Well, carry on.
I will let you listen
The
to
story
it
is
yourself.
not
Be better spent trying to reach a better understanding, and appreciating that despite being really flawed, the ending we got was genuine, not focus grouped or test marketed, but an attempt to explore some tough questions about who we are.
If you say so.
What?
Tough questions about who we are.
Who we are?
I like that it leaves everyone bewildered. It's like,
I'm so confused.
what do you mean?
I didn't see myself in any of that shit. What?
I was Daenerys because I just want to just fucking burn cities full of children. It spoke to me on an emotional level.
I'm John because I got really mad at dragons, so I scream at them.
I guess.
He hasn't set this up at all. Like, in terms of structure of video essays, like, where did this come from? Questions about who we are? Like, what? You should have had a section, maybe, about introspection about us that was a bit more fleshed out than just... Earlier, he said something about how, we might be wrong without realizing it, I think, in relation to Daenerys' choices. Like, that's kind of one-ish thing, but this felt like you just pulled it out of your ass. He asked us questions that made
About ourselves.
question who we are about ourselves. And beautiful.
Which is why we should forgive Game of Thrones.
No,
I can't
What does that even mean? Forgive a show? Like, you mean forgive D&D?
What is she wearing? What is that? What is
Sonic
that
ring.
chain attached to?
Sonic ring. Leave
the
it alone.
ring.
No,
Sonic
what is
ring.
what is it attached to? Like, what does it go down to?
Oh, nothing. It's just it just hangs there.
Oh, what is this? What is that?
It's just go nuts. Think of what it could mean. She used to be a prisoner and
Because
she's
it's
broken
not like
free.
a brooch or anything. It's not securing a cloak to her.
It's kind of
It's
like
not.
think of it as a chain that's kind of broken, and she still wears it to represent her past of being a prisoner.
It's a symbol of our insecurity.
To remind me of being a prisoner, I constantly wear this chain around my neck.
I don't even know, dude.
Subtle.
I'm just making that shit up.
Oh, okay. Because I see that and it instantly I look at that and I'm like, why is that? What is that?
I've always felt that way about the stupid Sonic ring. I've just been like, why'd you wear it? What is it? Stop it.
Tell anyone how to feel, I can suggest that we also be self-critical. Though I can't necessarily tell people what
Is
ideals
this Christmas
to live
music?
I was
Does he
gonna
have
say,
a Christmas
where the fuck did this
soundtrack?
music come
Joy
from?
to the world, Game of Thrones.
This is where we
sucks.
rejoice, guys.
We did it.
Who
Don't
we are.
worry about the plot holes. You just didn't
is why-
expect it.
We should forgive Game of Thrones.
You're right.
Although I can't tell anyone how to feel,
The way that music comes in, what the fuck?
You kind of are though. I like how the end of it. I can't tell you how to feel. It's like you're pretty much guiding us into saying
kinda
only
try.
it's,
Didn't he
it's only
say that-
acceptable to feel one way.
Didn't he say we're overreacting? Isn't that something he actually said? Meaning
Yeah.
our feelings
Oh, yeah.
are
Oh,
not
yeah.
the way they should be?
That was the whole point.
Yeah. You lied to me, video maker. I trusted you.
You lied. You
lied to
me.
Yeah, just I can't help but
Get out
assume
of
that
here.
Death Bullshit knows hardcore as well. But the way that music cuts in, it's so Goodell.
It's very odd. And it's a Christmas carol.
Like we tried,
It's so weird.
we tried to make deliberate choices like this when making Goodell 2, like musical choices that were just bad, like the way it cuts in or changes. Like
Randomly joy to the world.
this is what I'm trying to say. Like I'm gonna take this. This is happening. Randomly
Put it in
play
the notes.
joy to the world.
Joy to the world.
And that's why we should forgive Game of Thrones on the cover of the Rolling Stone.
And say we should forgive X. I don't know, whatever topic I'm on. That'll be great.
We should forgive Destiny 2.
I can suggest that we also be self-critical. Though I can't necessarily tell people what ideals to live by, I do suggest we try to understand the ideals present in the media we consume, and then make a choice whether or not to apply those messages in our own lives.
And heaven and nature sing. Heaven and nature sing.
It's so distracting.
Because people surely watch this and they're like, wait a second, this music, I know it.
Oh,
Is this
yeah.
a Christmas carol?
Couldn't you have established some of these lessons and talked about them in more detail about why they're so... It's like, I really am struggling to empathize with people who really just, they only want the idea present and that's it. They just do not care about anything else. It's like, come on. You're not real, are you? You do care about how it manifests in the thing, right? Please tell me you care. Like, no, Yoda said it. He said the failure's the best teacher. It's great. Like, but surely more to it than that.
And then
No, it's up
Bran
to
looked
each
at
of
the
us.
camera in the final scene and said, God bless us, everyone.
No. No.
Us to choose what we like and what we can forgive. Maybe we owe it to ourselves, when our favorite stories let us down, to remember all of the things that made them our favorite stories.
Oh my god.
It's actually Christmas music. I can't get over this. This is insane. Everyone's happy like they're gathered around the Christmas tree opening their presents, except the boxes are fucking empty because that would subvert your expectations.
Of course.
Now everyone's crying.
Well, you just didn't expect that you were going to get nothing.
Yeah, it turns out you're on the shit list this year.
Sorry, I had to write this. So his argument was basically, when it gets shit, just remember what it was like when it was good, because otherwise you wouldn't know what shit was comparatively. It's just like
you have to know what bad is so that you understand what good is. Like, no, we can identify what good is. We could point it out with reasons and references. We don't have to dichotomize it with bad. We don't have to juxtapose
But like, don't you
it.
get how much of a terrible? It's like you break your leg, and it's just like, remember what it was like to have a leg that wasn't broken? Like, yeah, that's part of the issue. Like, I want my not broken leg back. Like, well,
Very
just think of it.
uncomfortable. I can't walk on it.
Unbelievable. Like, this is some next level. Just surprise me if I hate everything's video. He's like, this is about hope. About hope.
Remember all of the
And not
things
letting
that
the
made
darkness take over.
Our marriage.
What is happening?
What is this clip? Why is this here? Jesus Christ, it looks like the ending of a fucking Christmas special too.
Oh my god, that's what I was about to say. It's almost like the lettering, like the Christmas
Stop with
lettering
the Christmas
here.
music.
And he's got the carol playing in the background. This came out on just so we're sure. This came out in August. Okay,
Yeah.
I have no idea why there's the Christmas theme here.
All you need now is the Yule log in the background and some little yellow sparkles.
Little angels
Good.
flying down.
I just like this. It's like it's not as far away from Christmas as possible. Like it's pretty fucking far away though.
Happy holidays.
Yeah, that's what.
From
that's
all
what
of
this
us
feels,
here at
yeah.
whatever the fuck this channel it is.
At Eyebrows Inc.
It's a final video for the year. That's what we're all expecting to see, because that's what you do with music cues like this. You don't just throw it in randomly. Like, what the fuck? No.